Hello sewing buds, welcome to another video. I'm your host, Michelle, and these are my unfinished quilt tops. I thought it would be a really great opportunity to finish all the tops that I started. You may recognize this boy. I finished him in my last video, and I'm thinking I'm gonna go black. I got this Robert Kaufman, and I've had this for a little bit now. I think I've only used 1.5 yards of it, so I definitely have enough since this one's quite small. It's a throw size. And on this one, I want to do a self-binding. The only thing is I don't know if I have enough batting around. I guess we'll see. I will look and see if I can make some Franken batting. If not, I guess we're going to Walmart. Next up, we got the big one here. This is the hexagon quilt, if you remember. And actually, funny story, this is the first quilt that I have made for myself. This is the first one I'm keeping. Every other quilt I've given away since I started. This one I'm just gonna go ahead and do the traditional binding. And this right here, I've been working on this one since September, and we are now at the end of June. And the reason why it's been taking so long is because I've been hand quilting it. It is Cantha inspired. I used all cafe facette. I don't know how you pronounce the man's name. You know him by his art. I'm gonna cheat a little bit on this one. I'll show you what I mean later. Since I'm showing you all my unfinished quilt tops, I kind of figured this would be a really great time to show you the first quilt I ever made. And boy, is she humble. What are we doing here? I know I wrote on here, okay. So, first quilt by Michelle for enter stepdaughter's name, 2022. I started sewing in 2021. I didn't start quilting until 2022. Feast your eyes, boys. It's a mess. The reason why I went with this one actually is because I did not like all the beginner quilts. It was just a bunch of squares and rectangles, and I just thought,
ew.
Let's get a closer look at her. Okay, so let's talk about the fabric choices. This was from a jelly roll. I don't remember which jelly roll, but I do remember it was from Moda. This right here was a 5 fat quarter bundle at Hobby Lobby. Background fabric is Robert Kaufman. I remember I got this off of Amazon. Then I also used some of the fat quarters for a little bit of a border here. And then over here, let me think for a minute. I think this was a jelly roll from Joanne. The backing is actually an old sheet. And you can see all the hideous puckering because, again, I had no idea what I was doing. I just want to show you the binding here. She is holding on for dear life. Yeah, it's embarrassing, right? But hey, humble beginnings. As you can see, it's pretty horrendous. It's just completely awful. The batting, actually, funny story there. I tore apart an old comforter and I pulled out this very lumpy batting from that and then used it in this. And I do remember that the entire cost to make this particular quilt was $50, and I was very proud of myself at that time. So actually, the main amount of money was for the top, because as far as the back goes here, that was as good as trash. You can just see it's a mess. But it's my mess, and it was a gift for my stepdaughter, the very first quilt I ever made. And she did like it a lot. She loved it. Granted, at the time, I believe she was 3, so she didn't notice all the goofy little quirks, if you will. I got this off of fabricforfun.com. It was a bolt of 8 yards for $35, I think. A little bit more with shipping, 43 with shipping. So quality's great. Let's see if it's enough. I didn't plan on becoming a person who sews, but then 2020 happened and surprise, now I hoard fabric and talk to myself with a sewing machine. Life's kinda weird like that, I guess. You never really know what's in store for you. This is all the batting I had left over. Some of it was from the king size batting, and other stuff was from what I had out back in storage. So you can see I got some little pieces and I got some nice big long pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two little pieces and I'm going to fuse them together. Now, I've got something of an idea. This over here is interfacing. And instead of buying the tape, I decided just to cut strips of interfacing and iron it on just like so. And it appears to be working just the same way, but for a fraction of the price. This makes me really, really happy that I saved all of these random scraps of interfacing thinking, oh, I'll find a use for this someday. Even the black, which I can use on the side facing the black backing, you'll never see it. And all I'm doing is just making little strips and ironing them down. The iron is not on full heat. I have it on the silk wool setting. On full heat, it does start to melt things. I attempted it just to see, and no, you don't want to do that. You just want to go on the setting right beforehand. Now, on the bigger, longer strips, I'm just using the zigzag and putting them together that way. Okay, here is the finished batting. Some call it Franken batting. I prefer calling it poor man's batting. Before I started sewing, my main hobby was lifting weights and painting. It was supposed to be something temporary, just something to keep me from losing my mind. But alas, here I am, 4 years later, still going strong. Because of the Franken batting abomination underneath this, I'm going to do all over quilting in a meandering type style, and that is to very securely hold everything up. And I am aware that shrinkage is going to happen. This is going to be quite small. So like I said, this is more decorative than anything. I'm going to use the gray because I got a ton of it and I think it'll blend in just fine. First things first, I just have to wind a few bobbins. I'm going to wind 3. I am hoping that the camera is not picking up my neighbor's music. Otherwise, I'm going to have to voice this whole thing over. It is very offensive gangster rap, and I don't know. All right, so earlier you may have seen that I pinned this. I did attempt to pin it, but I don't really know what happened. It was a big mess. So I instead glued it all together using Elmer's glue. And in case any of you are shocked, yes, you can do that. Check out this video right here. Of course, this is just an icon of what it is, but I do have the link down in the description. She tells you how to do it, and it works great, and it's very cost effective. So highly recommend it. Highly recommend her channel. And a nice good oiling is also in order. I get my machine oil off Waywack. Machine's thirsty. I wish my neighbor would get a job. He blasts that music all day, every day in the summertime. It used to be way worse. He would have a Humvee over there with custom speakers, and he would put the music so loud that it would shake all my windows, and I could feel it on my chest. It was extremely uncomfortable. It would just make me feel sick. Eventually we called the police, and then this neighbor, and then that neighbor, I call it the trifecta of terror, all decided to blast music one after the other. And like they'd point their speakers in our direction and everything. And basically they were just trying to terrorize us, and that lasted for about 2 years. And then they got bored and stopped, I guess. Also, I'm going freestyle. So I'm going to go to my, what's it called? Is it called a quilting foot? This guy right here. These are my favorite brand right here. I have never had one of these break. I'm going to use size 75/11, depending on which country you're in. That'll make sense to you. And this is my go-to for quilting. Pressure up, like it matters. There's no feed dogs. 0. And I pull the bobbin thread up as well, if I can get in there, that is. There she is. When I first started sewing, I thought maybe I would make clothes, but to be completely honest with you, I had a really hard time understanding those patterns. So I started making awful looking stuffed animals instead. And the patterns were initially really difficult for me to understand, but I worked through it, brain hurting all the while as new pathways were being formed. It's a very uncomfortable process, but it's something that we do have to go through when learning new skills. The payoff, though, is completely worth it. Look here at my first tote bag, and then look over here at my latest tote bag. See the difference? It's pretty cool, if you ask me. Not to toot my own horn or anything. I initially avoided quilting like the plague. It just looked so complicated with all those small pieces, and after all the time it took me to learn how to do stuffed animals and bags, I wasn't sure I was quite up for it. But I am glad that I gave it a chance, because it's a skill worth learning. It's so rewarding in the end, and they make great gifts, and it's just a really awesome process. I love everything about it. I am cutting away the batting and trying my best not to cut into the backing. I have my 2.5-inch ruler, and I'm just placing it right on the edge, and I'm going to go ahead and just slice right on up so that it leaves me with 2.5 inches of backing fabric. And it wouldn't be one of my videos without a grave error. As you can see, I actually did mess up and I cut a hole right in the backing fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I plan to fix that. And it's just slicing the whole thing right off. And then once I've got it all sliced off, I'm just going to cut 2.5-inch strips, or in this case, strip, because it'll be long enough, and then put it on the old-fashioned way. Now that I've got them all cut, I'm just going to fold it inward. I'm going to bring that over to the iron and get it nice and flat. Okay, so real talk here. This is my first time doing the backing as binding thing. I watched a tutorial, this one. That's what it'll look like. I'm linking it down in the description below, but if you're on your TV, that's the thumbnail I did. You'll find it if you look this up. Okay, so anyway, Remember that hole I showed you and I had to cut the whole thing off and I was gonna fix it? Well, I haven't gotten to the fixing it part yet, but let me tell you something else. As I was following this tutorial, which I only watched one time, so 100% on me on that. I usually screw up pretty bad the first few times I'm trying something new. What the heck? It went good on the two sides, but I actually didn't remember or know how to do the other side going down. So what I'm going to do is just another one of my cute little workarounds. And so you can see here on this side, this is from the back to the front. A little messy on this side. I don't know what happened. I haven't sewed it down on the front yet. Same thing on this side. This is the other side, which came out a lot better actually. This is from the back to the front. And the style, the way she does it is you actually wouldn't know. Because after you've folded it over once, you fold it back as if you actually have binding and you're sewing it to the back, and then you flip it over to the front. Very clever. It would be more clever if I actually knew how to do this on all four corners and not just two corners. So what I did, because something went horribly amiss, something went awry, as they tend to do in my videos, I just cut off the sides on both. And my fix is quite... Oh no, please don't put the music up higher. I gotta make this quick before they start blasting that music again. I just took 2.5-inch strip, two of them. Should be the length of the sides, I hope. And I'm just going to do the traditional binding on those sides and then just sort of fold in the side to hide the raw edge. I'll try to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to run and go to the gym and hopefully they're not still blasting that music, which you're not catching on here, I don't think at the moment, but it fluctuates a whole lot, and I might be talking loud enough with the speaker close enough to my gullet that you're hearing my voice only. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna figure out this fix together, and I do have high hopes. All right, that's how it looks sewed to the front there. So, and that's the back. Pretty good, pretty good. And now for the fix, where I'm just going to take this binding and put it on each opposite side. Make sure you take the top and you fold it down towards you so you see the folds. Fold it once, fold it twice to hide all the raw edges. It's time for another giveaway. It's summertime, so we're going all summery. This is a scrap of fabric. It's butterflies. This is some weird camp stuff. It's all camping all the time. And then here's the sunflower prints. I'm just never going to use this stuff. I don't find it attractive. But I know that others do. So if you're interested in this, go over to my Instagram, link in the description or on the screen right now. Or email me, again, link down below and on the screen. And the code word is summer. I will announce the winners next Friday. Good luck. It's a little bulky, but it'll do. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew that down, just going to hide all the raw edges in there, and away we go. This is the end result. It's not anything glamorous, it's not anything to write home about, but it is functional. I will watch a few more videos from some different people just to get a better idea of the technique, and I will continue trying. Practice makes perfect. Right, gents? Thank you so much for tuning in to watch my video. We are all out of time for this week, but tune in next week for the continuation of the finishing of the quilt tops. Bye.